That's so gnarly.
YouTube.com/Sal. Go subscribe now. Come and join us now. Come and join us.
Salutations to an intrepid legion of explorers. My name is Sal, and this is another expedition log. Today we're hitting our last stop on the Route 80 Dead Mall tour with a location that had 100% vacancy when I arrived and a cold, leaky interior devoid of life. Thanks to my patrons and elite explorers who support my channel directly, and to everyone that stuck with me over the last month and a half as we built the DAMO server on Osmium. But I'm so stoked to report that DMOD is back. Discord made a public statement about their mistake and they reversed my ban. I was then able to restore DMOD from a backup I took in 2022, and I'd love to see all of you over there again. To join the server or rejoin if you were there before, just go to the same link as we've had since 2017, discord.gg/DMOD. So for your consideration, I'd like you all to come take a walk with me through the Columbia Colonnade in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. But first, a word from our sponsor, Phone Relief, which is from a time before game nights and voice chats on places like Osmium and Discord. Enjoy.
Tonight it's baseball, but soon we'll be back with America's other favorite pastime.
Talking on the phone getting out of hand? Look out! You need Phone Relief, the ultimate in hands-free phone design. Watch. Simply attach the special double-back fastener to any phone. Then attach the Phone Relief headset. It's that easy. Hands-free, pain-free. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it. It's perfect for remotes. Now talk hands-free anywhere, anytime. Office work is a pain for Mr. Phone in the Neck, but you won't miss a beat with hands-free freedom. A must for the entire office. Work goes quicker and easier. The padded headset removes this easily and is fully adjustable. Best of all, Phone Relief works with your favorite phone, an amazing breakthrough product you'll use every day. Now only $12.95. Call toll-free to order by credit card and make this your last Phone in the Neck call.
Call 1-800-441-2400. Our operators are giving tremendous discounts on additional units. Sorry, no CODs. That's 1-800-441-2400.
Welcome to the Columbia Colonnade in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. The interior of this mall is a leaky spectacle. It's beautiful, and we're going to go over every inch of this place from the floor up to the ceiling, and I'm even going to launch my drone inside on the concourse. But before we get into the history, I just need like 2 minutes of your time because DMOD is back. Let me explain. At the end of May, we lost DMOD suddenly and unexpectedly after I and a few other people got some bogus violation and subsequent bans from Discord after sending a photo of sheet music. I cover the whole story in ExLog 147 on Lycoming Mall, but since I was IP banned and couldn't access Discord with my main account anymore, I had no choice but to start a brand new community on an alternate platform. Discord then went public in early July with a statement and apology explaining that 8,300 people have been falsely banned since May due to some overzealous filters in their AI content detection systems, which were set to ban anyone who sent a photo with a grid on it. Apparently, some bad actors overlay grid patterns to circumvent these bots so they can send illicit material without being detected. So Discord thought my sheet music was full of grids, which is why I got banned. So they unbanned me and explained why it happened. Once I had access back to the Discord platform with my original credentials, I immediately went in and pulled a backup of DMOD that I had from 2022, and I was able to restore the server on July 7. I really thought that my time on Discord was done though, since it said that I was perma-banned and I couldn't reach a human in support, but they overturned my ban and I have full access to the platform again without restrictions, and we are so back. DMOD is back, and all of you are welcome to join or rejoin if you were a member previously. Just go to the same link that we've always had, discord.gg/DMOD, and once you arrive, a mod will get you set up with your mall rat role. I'm so sorry about the back and forth, Legion. It really was out of my control, but I do respect when a company admits their failures and makes it right. Let me also say that I really appreciate the team at Osmium and all of you who came over to join DAMO during the great DMOD outage of 2026. We'll be keeping DAMO on Osmium as our backup server indefinitely, just in case. Links for both DMOD and DAMO are down below, but we are going to main DMOD just like before, and there's some really cool, exciting new features happening over there. DMOD now has organized forums where we'll be posting full historical accounts on malls, and I'll be setting up a new in-person summit and meetup for later this year. I'm also going to be doing a few giveaways hosted on DMOD, so make sure you join, and I'll have details up in the next week or so. Once again, DMOD is back. This is not a drill. And you can join at the same link as always, discord.gg/DMOD. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the historical narrative for this incredible specimen of a mall.
Nice. Carpet on the walls.
Back in the late 1980s, Johnstown, PA-based George Zamias announced that he was building a new mall in the Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania region, and he stated that this area was, quote, in desperate need of a new enclosed mall. Groundbreaking kicked off in November of 1987, and construction would take about 1 year to complete. Then on Monday, October 31, 1988, at 9:30 in the morning, the 500,000 square foot, $15 million Columbia Mall celebrated its grand opening and ribbon-cutting dedication with 65 inline tenants. On opening day, the mall had a Sears Roebuck & Company, Bon-Ton, Hills, and a JCPenney serving as the Columbia Mall's 4 senior anchors. But from day one, the Columbia Mall was unwelcome in the Bloomsburg community. Until this mall was built, downtown Bloomsburg was a highly walkable, thriving commercial district, and locals just didn't want to invite the traffic, noise, and congestion that a new regional mall would undoubtedly introduce.
It's like a prison.
But Zamias threw money at local politicians to get his zoning and permits approved, and he completely avoided all of the public hearings for this new mall.
That guy just scared the crap out of me. That kind of stuff spooks you when you're in, like, such an empty place.
When the Columbia Mall was built, the Sears and JCPenney both displaced long-standing downtown Bloomsburg locations and took much of the business away from that area. Locals were not pleased, and the mall suffered in sales and traffic right out of the gate. This mall was doomed from the day it was built, and it's one of the great missteps in Zamias' otherwise spotless record. He should have read the room because the very people he built this mall for wanted nothing to do with it, and just 3 months after it was built, Zamias was already looking for a buyer for this property. While the mall itself cost around $15 million to construct, just after the mall opened, Zamias would take out a $30 million mortgage on the property. I'm not really sure why he did this, but he might have had plans to eventually expand the mall, I don't know. But by January of 1989, he had the Columbia Mall up for sale, and his asking price was $30 million. This dude's ego was out of control, and it was the very thing that caused this mall to fail so early in its life. The 1980s were the absolute peak of the great American mall explosion across the country, and owning a mall at the time was a highly sought-after position as a real estate developer. So the Columbia Mall wasn't on the market for very long, and Zamias knew that what he had would sell even after a 100% markup. Then on Friday, February 10, 1989, just 3 months after the mall opened and only 1 month after it was put up for sale, the Chicago-based Heitman Advisory Corporation purchased the Columbia Mall from George Zamias for $36 million. Heitman would retain Zamias as the mall manager. Since the mall was so new, Heitman Advisory's chairman of the board, Stephen Perlmutter, made an announcement that, quote, nothing would change with the mall, and that this was purely a financial transaction. He also mentioned that George Zamias had been vacationing in Acapulco since the mall opened, and that he couldn't be reached for a comment. Zamias was such a coward, he couldn't face the locals at Columbia Mall, so he went down to Mexico to hide under an umbrella on the beach, just like Marna. Into the 1990s, the mall was doing slightly better as locals began to embrace it, but not by much. In May of 1991, Heitman asked the Columbia County Commissioners to reduce the assessed value for the mall and its subsequent tax bill after a series of closures along the concourse. Then by 1993, the Columbia Mall was celebrating its 5th birthday. Heitman and Zamias decided to do a country western themed birthday party at the mall on the last weekend of October that same year. They had country music karaoke contests, 5 straight hours of line dancing in the center court near JCPenney, and yee-haw, if you showed up to the mall dressed like a cowboy, you'd get a $50 gift certificate to any store in the mall. Giddy up. When Zamias sold this mall to Heitman, he signed off on a clause in the agreement that promised a certain level of monetary success from the mall, and that clause had a 5-year expiration. Heitman didn't publicly specify how much the mall was meant to earn in the written agreement and contract, but despite the locals beginning to accept the mall as their own, the mall wasn't making much money. The clause expired after 5 years, and as an immediate result, on March 1, 1994, Heitman sued Zamias for a total of $468,000, which included $371,000 that the mall failed to earn, and he didn't like that, so he sued. Heitman and Zamias settled out of court, but the relationship had grown way too incendiary to continue. They dissolved the partnership, and Heitman sold the mall on Wednesday, July 19, 1995, to a group of investors based out of New Jersey for $27.5 million. The new owners operated under the name Columbia Mall Associates to mask the identity of their investors, but they brought in the Mountain Development Company, also based out of New Jersey, to manage and lease the mall. At the time, Mountain Development had a reputation of investing their time solely in the rehabilitation of struggling malls, and the hope was that they could revive Columbia Mall just 7 years after it had opened. It's not common for such a young mall to have this immense of a struggle so early in its life. Columbia Mall was having the problems of a 40-year-old mall less than a decade into its life by 1995. By this time, even one of its senior anchors found itself headed towards financial ruin. In 1987, 1 year before the Columbia Mall opened, the Hills department store had gone public and was ranked in the top 10 largest national discount retailers. But the company quickly started to fail after a series of unfortunate corporate changes and the resignation of then CEO Stephen Goldberger in 1990. Stephen was the son of Hills founder Herb Goldberger, and the company tanked when the founding family took their hands off the steering wheel. By 1991, Hills had filed for bankruptcy protection and closed about 70 stores around the country. They would survive bankruptcy into the mid-90s after Michael Bozick came in as CEO, who had just spent nearly 3 decades as the head of Sears merchandising group. Their nascent success in the 90s was short-lived though, and Bozick resigned in July of 1995. There was a massive overhaul of the Hills board of directors in 1996, and they decided to rebuild Hills from the ground up. The company overhaul didn't produce the sales that the board wanted to see, but other companies began to notice the Hills brand again, and Hills started getting buyout offers. The Hills board accepted one of those offers, and on November 12, 1998, Ames purchased Hills. By 1999, all Hills stores were converted over to the Ames masthead, including the location here at the Columbia Mall.
To make sure these advertised sale prices are as low as you'll find anywhere. Save $4 on men's Lee stone-washed and black denim jeans, now just $18.99. Or save $5 on men's Lee pleated and acid-wash jeans, just $24.99. These prices are backed by something so reliable, we guarantee it will never be broken. It's the Ames low price promise. Ames.
The Hills turned Ames is at the opposite end of the mall from where we are right now. And we're currently walking down the concourse that used to lead to Sears. But while I was walking around in here, pretty much everywhere in the mall, you can see this weird reflection on the floor from the ceiling lights. We're coming up on what I'm talking about shortly, and I've never seen anything like this in another mall. The reflection looks like how I would expect light to act if you shine a flashlight through a glass of water. You can see wet floor signs and buckets coming up in front of us, and they're all over the mall. But if you look carefully around them, you'll see that flickering water reflection, which can only mean that the roof is completely in shambles. Here, look, do you see how the shadow is dancing around? That's the water inside of the light housing that probably got in there from melting snow up on the roof. And you can see all the water stains on the ceiling, too. So the only rational explanation that I could come up with was that there was standing water inside the ceiling lights, which really doesn't bode well for the roof. As the folks from Jersey rolled Columbia Mall into the new millennium on its stretcher, the world began to expand around it and with complete disregard for it. This was when the mall started spiraling. The first direct loss that Columbia Mall would suffer was when Ames shuttered in August of 2002. This was after the company went through its second round of bankruptcy proceedings and failed to recover after closing most of the stores that were converted from Hills from the 1998 acquisition. The Columbia Mall Ames shuttered after the company announced on August 14, 2002 that all remaining stores would be closed after a brief liquidation. That shuttered Ames would sit vacant for nearly a full decade. A few years later, in early 2005, Buckhorn Plaza opened just 1 mile south from the mall directly across Route 80. This new gargantuan open-air shopping center featured 14 mid to large-sized anchor tenants, and it was flanked on either side by a Walmart and a Lowe's home improvement store. Buckhorn Plaza effectively dashed any hope for success at the Columbia Mall because everything locals would ever need to purchase for their lives was right there at Buckhorn now, and they had virtually no reason to go to Columbia anymore. But this was the new normal for dying rural malls across the country in the early to mid-aughts. Giant power centers were popping up everywhere, and unless the nearby mall had something compelling and exotic that couldn't be purchased or seen inside a Marshall's or a Walmart, it was just a matter of time before that mall became a gray ghost, just like what happened here at Columbia.
I think there's water inside the light. Let's try and get a look. Hang on, let me zoom in 1 second. Oh yeah, there's water in there.
Just months after the opening of Buckhorn Plaza, Mountain Development and their smoky cabal of dudes from New Jersey who owned the place decided to dump the Columbia Mall by pulling a greasy deed transfer maneuver. In March of 2005, the mall was transferred from Columbia Mall Associates to Miami, Florida-based Bayview Financial for $1. This doesn't mean that Bayview bought the mall for $1, it just means that the debt was written over to another company, which was probably just another holding company related to the unnamed owners from Jersey.
That's so gnarly.
But about 7 months later, Bayview formally sold the mall to New York-based Cedar Shopping Centers Incorporated for $14 million, which works out to about $28 per square foot. But the Ames was sitting vacant, and of the 500,000 square feet of leasable area in the mall, that Ames accounted for about 100,000 square feet of it, and that's a huge chunk of empty space for a developer to justify spending even $1 on. So Cedar's vice president of development, Tom Ritchie, told reporters that as part of the deal, they're, quote, not paying for the vacant space, close quote. Their negotiation tactic was to haggle down the price due to vacancy, which in turn drove the price per square footage down to a more palatable amount. It's a pretty smart play. But that's a total of 3 different owners in the span of just 1 month. Nobody knew what to do with this place, and the country was headed face first into the Great Recession in 2008. There were definitely signs in the real estate industry that a collapse was coming, and I'm sure that played a part in the mall changing hands so many times in the mid to late aughts. But the sale price for the mall was still somewhat appropriate for its assessed value. By the time Cedar purchased the Columbia Mall in 2005, the mall was valued nearly at its sale price. But on the other end of the recession, by the early 2010s, the value for Columbia Mall began to fall sharply, even though a new Dunham Sports had just opened in 2011 inside the long vacant Hills-turned-Ames space. Cedar then decided to sell the mall in 2013, and they found a buyer in Philly-based Empire Columbia who purchased the mall for $2.775 million in April of 2013. This post-recession price blows my mind. If you look at the area around Columbia Mall, there's really nothing but the mall itself, Buckhorn Plaza, and the Hemlock Creek golf course. The area really didn't develop like what we saw near Shenango and Nittany, where strip malls and power centers grew like bamboo from the traffic generated by Penn State and its satellite campuses. We've seen countless examples where a mall dies and a vulture developer like Kohan comes in to purchase the property at fire sale prices just to wait for the area around it to develop so they can sell the mall for much more than they bought it for. That's called parasitic land appreciation maxing, and it's not at all what happened here. From the time the mall was first sold for $36 million in 1989 to the sale in 2013, when it was sold for just under $2.8 million, adjusting for inflation, that's a 96% drop in price, which is potentially the most drastic I've ever seen for a legit sales price and not an auction catalyzed by foreclosure. It was around this time that a mass exodus of inline tenants started, setting the stage for the death of the Columbia Mall.
Now at Sears, there's a color TV on sale you really have to touch to believe. Now save $80 on Sears Sensor Touch TV. Just $399.95 for a 19-inch picture, an electronic tuner with no moving parts to wear out, a solid-state chassis, and sensor touch. You've just seen the touch of a finger change channels instantly. But even when you see it, you have to touch it to believe it.
I believe.
Sensor Touch, on sale now at Sears.
By the mid-2010s, as tenants were fleeing the concourse, Columbia Mall would lose another senior anchor when Sears announced a large set of store closures in October of 2014. The Sears here at Columbia closed on January 18, 2015, after liquidating through their last holiday season. I wonder if some kid in Bloomsburg got a rusty 6-foot-long industrial rolling shirt rack and the soulless gaze from a mannequin's head underneath the Christmas tree that year. If you were a kid in this area during the mid to late 2010s, let me know down in the comments if you got some weird commercial grade presents under the tree. I can probably tell you where they came from. 2 years after the Sears closed, a Planet Fitness opened in about half of the former anchor's space in early 2017. Then that same year, JCPenney announced that their location here at Columbia would be closing after a months-long liquidation. The store closed on July 31, 2017. 1 year later, the Harrisburg, PA-based Bon-Ton slipped into Chapter 7 bankruptcy, forcing them to liquidate all remaining stores, including the Bon-Ton here at Columbia Mall, which was closed by spring of 2018. In the wake of losing every store that could possibly generate meaningful organic growth in sales inside the mall, Empire Columbia was desperate for a way to fix this place. So they sat down with their mall management team, and the solution they came up with was to change the name of the mall from Columbia Mall to Columbia Colonnade. That was the whole plan. That was it. There wasn't some big multi-million-dollar renovation or a new experiential wing with go-karts and vape shops. They just changed the name and called it a day. On Monday, December 3, 2018, mall manager Jessica Brown told the Press Enterprise newspaper that the new name, Columbia Colonnade, quote, was not chosen to reflect the structure of the building, close quote. Brown stated that the name was changed because the mall is more of a mixed-use facility now rather than a traditional enclosed shopping center like when it was first built. So I googled the definition of a colonnade, and it's just a sequence of columns supporting a roof. Ms. Brown might say that the name has nothing to do with this structure, but there's columns all over the place inside this mall, and I'm pretty sure that's why they actually chose the name Colonnade, and they were just hiding behind the whole mixed-use thing for potential investors in the future. Given how little Empire paid for the mall and how hard the value of the mall had fallen over the years, it was actually a pretty smart move to go as cheap as possible with what I'm calling a soft redevelopment. So they did all they can do for the property and decided to put it up for sale in 2019. Empire found a buyer in local Bloomsburg developer Foust Holdings LLC, who purchased the mall in 2019 for $7 million. 1 year after the mall sold, malls around the country would start to close around this time, and most thought that the Columbia Colonnade would never reopen. By the time malls were reopening back up after a few months, Columbia Colonnade had defied the odds and opened back up. But the mall had already been pronounced dead, and by 2021, it assumed its final form of pastel-colored Architectural Mortis. I showed up in January of 2022 to shoot the footage you've been watching, and when I arrived, the mall was incredibly cold inside, with just enough heat on to prevent the pipes from freezing. The property was effectively vacant, and there was no reason to keep the doors open. Then on March 31, 2022, the mall was officially shuttered and sealed to the public. Foust Holdings has mentioned redevelopment plans that include a strip mall that has garnered attention from places like Jersey Mike's and Permane Brothers, but nothing has materialized yet. If any of you hear anything, please let me know down in the comments. But that is the entire history of the Columbia Colonnade thus far.
This is my husband. Doesn't look like much, does he? But wait, see what he's got there? One of his JCPenney knit dress shirts for only $8. What he's always wanted, comfortable, and what I've always wanted, no ironing. Watch, every morning a different pattern, but every morning the same thing. It's coming. It's what I look for every morning. It's Mr. Dynamite.
It's the JCPenney knit dress shirt. Only $8, only at JCPenney. We know what you're looking for.
That thing is working overtime just to keep the place from freezing over. The little HVAC system that could. I think that's the only one. I think that's the only vent that's pumping any sort of air out, because I haven't heard any other ones, and it's cold in this place. So take a look at the thermostat reading. I'm not so sure if you can see in there, but it's about 50 degrees in here. It's cold. It's about 50 degrees. Can't really see it, but it's very cold. And I'm pretty sure, I'm just throwing this out there, but I'm pretty sure that they're keeping it like just warm enough so that the pipes don't start freezing over. I mean, it makes sense, but this place is toast. Cold toast. Okay, I gotta pull the Uniontown move. I wanna show you guys the ceiling, but I don't know if I can do it standing up. It's a really strange feeling to walk around inside of a completely vacant mall that's still open to the public. There's nothing open in here. It's 100% vacant, except for that bouncy place that might open on Saturday or Sunday. But it's creepy. It's cold. And I know there's mall walkers milling about, but if anybody pops up around a corner, it kind of gets the blood flowing. It's spooky. But it's amazing.
I had the rare opportunity to fly my drone around inside this mall because nobody was there to tell me not to. But finding a mall like this is like finding a unicorn in the middle of Baltimore City. It's so rare to find a fully preserved dead mall from the late 1980s with these amazing recessed ceiling plants and mesmerizing pastels, and absolutely nothing open inside except for the bathrooms for the mall walkers. And I couldn't think of a better way to end the Route 80 Dead Mall tour. So before we go pick up Marna from her stolen helicopter out of Mexico, here's T-Pain Sans Auto-Tune singing the national anthem for America's quarter millennial birthday. Happy 250, Yanks.
Out there had fun at the Columbia Mall. I'm currently a fugitive from the cartel and Mexican court systems, but I've got DAMO with me and I'm headed back to DMOD so we can talk about dead malls and cloacas and the Hanover Goatsy, whatever that is. I think it's a pretzel hole or something. But we just left Mexico and we're currently running real low on gas already, and we're still in the Gulf of Mexico, and this chopper's only going like 12 miles an hour. What are we doing? This is slow. Hey, Damo, you fat you gotta jump. You're huge. Just float down to New Orleans like a balloon. I'll come visit you. Oh, no, yeah, we wanna get in there. Okay, good. It looks like she bounced into the French Quarter. She's okay. It looks like she's already got one tied on with those Sazeracs, the poor thing. That was me 2 years ago. Well, we can go visit Damo whenever we want. But Sal, can you see me yet?
Yeah, Marna, I see you. You're a disaster. Park that thing over near Payless. We need you back at DMOD.
Hey, Sal, that's me. I see you filming my tail, you naughty boy, you. Hey, DMOD, I'm coming in hot. I'm gonna put her down over there near the Payless. Whee! Whoa, this thing is fast. I'm gonna try popping a wheelie before I land. I'm gonna Tokyo drift the helicopter into the JCPenney. Oh, I busted my ass. That hurt like a son of a... That was me in the green hat just now. Sal, I think I lost a leg or something down there. I'm okay. I'm glad to be back home, everybody. You're so beautiful, everyone. I'll see all the yins on DMOD. I love you all so much. Bye!
Welcome home, Marna. If any of you would like to chat with both myself and Marna, and all your other favorite Dead Mall community members such as Kristen from Unicom, Ray Out There, John Rev, Yodeling Loon, The Mall Fox, Exploring Retails with Andrew, The Vintage Spaces, and the rest of us on the Seal, please come join the Dead Malls of Discord server, home of DMOD. Just go to discord.gg/DMOD to join. I'm really sorry again for the back and forth last month, but DMOD is back and we're not going anywhere. But let's take a walk outside the mall for our ritual perimeter tour, and then we'll get to see some drone footage before I hand the helicopter over to Marna one last time.
Oh God. Oh yeah, this is where I die. I guess I better film it. Columbia Colonnade. Legendary.
Columbia Colonnade is one of my favorite explorations to date, and I think about this mall so often. As a Dead Mall enthusiast before anything else, this kind of property is a grail for people like me who photograph and film them. But the way it's been tossed around between owners and how it's been neglected to the point of extreme failure makes me sick and sad for the community around it. This mall even got so bad that it was set to go to auction while under the current owners in 2024, but it failed to meet the reserve price of $20 million. Mike Cohan even showed up to make an offer, but Foust refused it, and they have my respect for doing so. Foust is doing their best to keep this mall operating even while the concourse is shuttered. In the last couple of years, they've brought in an Ollie's Bargain outlet in the former JCPenney and a Michael's Crafts that moved into the former Bonton, which was briefly occupied by a furniture store, as you saw in my footage. But these stores are prime candidates to serve as senior anchors for an open-air shopping center, and I really do hope Foust can bring the community a functional and pleasing redevelopment plan that creates new jobs and tax money for the state. Time will tell, but I do have hope in the direction Foust is taking this place. So if anybody hears anything, let me know down below. I'd like to thank all of you for watching my video. If any of you hear news about Columbia Colonnade, please let me know down in my comments or on any of my social media. I post primarily on Blue Sky, where you can find me at quitestudios.com and Instagram at Salvatore Amadeo. But if you'd like to chat with me live, the best place to do that is once again and hitherto on Discord, home of DMOD. Just go to discord.gg/DMOD to join or rejoin if you were there on DMOD before it got nuked. I can't see Discord making the same mistake again, but we also have DAMO on Osmium as a backup. Links for everything are down below. I'll be back soon with ExLog 149, where we turn west for a jaunt through Indiana and Kentucky to visit 4 really sick dead malls. But until then, please, stay safe out there, Legion. Come join me once again on DMOD. Take care of yourselves, and have a fantastic day.
Yeah, sure, Sal. I'm gonna land it right over there into the front of your truck because you left me in Mexico for so long, you son of a...
Tonight it's baseball, but soon we'll be back with America's other favorite pastime.
Talking on the phone getting out of hand? Look out! You need phone relief. The ultimate in hands-free phone design. Watch. Simply attach the special double back fastener to any phone. Then attach the phone relief headset. It's that easy. Hands-free, pain-free. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it. It's perfect for remotes. Now talk hands-free anywhere, anytime. Office work is a pain for Mr. Phone in the Neck, but you won't miss a beat with hands-free freedom. A must for the entire office. Work goes quicker and easier. The padded headset removes this easily and is fully adjustable. Best of all, phone relief works with your favorite phone. An amazing breakthrough product you'll use every day. Now only $12.95. Call toll-free to order by credit card and make this your last Phone in the Neck call.
Call 1-800-441-2400. Our operators are giving tremendous discounts on additional units. Sorry, no CODs. That's 1-800-441-2400.